The widowed cowboy's baby was crying when an Apache woman knocked and said, "I have milk." Elias Boone stood in the doorway of his small metal house and looked out at the wide red plains that stretched to the edge of the world. The wind moved slowly across the dust, carrying the soft sound of dry grass and the low hum of distant machines. The sky above was a pale orange, painted by the setting sun of this faraway planet. Long shadows followed everything, even the old water tower that leaned like it was tired of standing. Inside the house, a baby cried. The sound cut through the quiet like a sharp blade. Elias turned quickly and stepped back inside. The house was small but clean. The walls were made of metal panels, and a soft blue light came from the energy strips near the ceiling. A single table sat in the middle of the room, and next to it was a small cradle made from old supply crates and soft blankets. The baby's face was red and wet with tears. His small hands moved in the air, reaching for something he could not find. "I know, little one," Elias said in a low voice. "I know." He picked up the baby and held him close. The baby was warm and light in his arms. Elias felt the tiny heartbeat against his chest. It reminded him of something he had almost forgotten. Life, real life, not just survival. It had been 3 months since his wife, Myra, had died. She had been strong, stronger than most people on this lonely world. She had crossed the stars with him when the big companies promised new land and new chances. She had built this home with her own hands, but even strength could not fight a sudden sickness brought by this planet's strange air. Now Elias was alone, with only their child and the wide, empty world around him. The baby cried harder. Elias walked back and forth across the room, rocking him gently. He tried to hum a song, but his voice broke in the middle. He swallowed and kept going. Outside, the wind picked up. The dust tapped softly against the metal walls. Then, through the crying, he heard something else. A knock. Elias froze. No one knocked anymore. The settlement had been empty for years. Most people had left after the war in this system. Alien ships had passed through like a storm, burning the sky and breaking the cities in the distance. The big companies had pulled out. The trade routes had gone silent. Only a few stayed behind. Elias and Mara had been 2 of them. Now even those few were gone. The knock came again, slow, calm, not like a warning, not like a threat. Elias felt his heart beat faster. He walked to the wall and pulled a small scanner from its hook. He turned it on and pointed it toward the door. The screen showed a single life sign, 1 person, human. He took a deep breath and placed the baby back in the cradle. The crying did not stop, but it became softer, like the baby knew he was not alone. Elias walked to the door and placed his hand on the handle. "Who's there?" he asked. A woman's voice came through the door. It was clear and steady. "I have milk." Elias blinked. "What?" he said. "I heard the baby crying," the voice continued. "I can help." Elias did not open the door right away. He looked at the scanner again. The life sign was still there, still human, no weapons detected. "Who are you?" he asked. "My name is Tala," the woman said. "I am from the Sky Nations." Elias had heard that name before, not in real life, only in old stories. People talked about humans who had left Earth long ago and never came back. They said these people traveled beyond known space. They said they lived with strange aliens and learned things no one else knew. Most settlers thought it was just a story. Elias did not know what to think. The baby cried again, louder now. The sound filled the small house. It felt like it pushed against his chest from the inside. Elias closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened the door. A woman stood outside. She was not dressed like a settler. Her clothes were simple but clean, made of a fabric that seemed to change color in the light. Soft brown and deep blue moved across it like water. Her dark hair was tied back and her face was calm and strong. She carried a small pack over her shoulder. Her eyes moved past Elias and went straight to the cradle. "I can hear him," she said softly. "He is hungry." Elias stepped back, letting her inside. The door closed behind her with a quiet sound. Tala walked slowly toward the cradle. She knelt down and looked at the baby. Her face softened. "He is healthy," she said. "That is good." Elias stood near the door, unsure what to say or do. "You really have milk?" he asked. Tala nodded. "Yes." She opened her pack and took out a small, round container. It was made of a clear material, and inside was a white liquid. She placed it on the table and pressed the top. The container warmed in her hands. "This is not from me," she said. "It is made to be like human milk, safe for babies." Elias felt his shoulders drop a little. He had been worried he would not have enough food for the baby soon. Supplies were hard to find now. Tala carefully lifted the baby and fed him. The crying stopped almost at once. The baby's small mouth moved gently as he drank. His hands closed around the edge of the container. Elias watched, his eyes burning. "Thank you," he said quietly. Tala looked at him. "You are welcome." They stood in silence for a moment. The only sound was the baby drinking and the wind outside. "Why are you here?" Elias asked. Tala placed the baby back in the cradle once he finished. The baby made a small sound and fell asleep. "We listen for humans who are alone," she said. "Our people have machines that can hear heartbeats across long distances. We heard this child." Elias stared at her. "Across space?" "Yes," Tala said, "across space." Elias shook his head slowly. "Why? Because humans should not be alone," she replied. Her words were simple, but they hit him hard. Elias sat down on a chair. The long days of silence, the empty settlement, the nights where he talked to the walls because there was no one else to hear him, all of it came back at once. Tala sat across from him. "You lost someone," she said. "My wife," Elias replied. "Mara," Tala nodded. "I am sorry." Elias looked at his hands. They were rough and cracked from work and dust. "I don't know how to do this alone," he admitted. "I don't even know if I should stay here." Tala followed his gaze to the window where the red plains stretched out under the darkening sky. "This world is important," she said. Elias looked up. "Important how?" "There is something under this land," Tala said. "Something old, older than humans, older than most stars." Elias felt a chill. "I don't believe in stories." "This is not a story," Tala said. "That is why others will come." Elias stood up. "Others, not all who travel the stars, wish to protect," she said. "Some wish to take." Outside, a low sound rolled across the sky like distant thunder. Elias walked to the door and opened it. High above, the stars were starting to appear, but between them he saw something else. A faint line of light moving slowly across the dark. A ship, then another. And another. Tala stood beside him. "They have felt it too," she said. "The old thing under this world is waking." Elias looked back at the cradle. "My son?" he asked. Tala nodded. "Yes, he is part of it now." Elias felt fear rise in his chest, but also something else. A small spark of strength. He stepped outside, the wind pushing against his coat. "This is my home," he said. "This is his home." Tala looked at him with respect. "Then you will not stand alone." In the distance, lights appeared on the horizon, not alien, human. Ships painted with symbols Elias did not know but somehow understood. Lines and shapes that felt old and powerful at the same time. The sky nations were coming. Elias took a deep breath of the dusty air and looked up at the stars. For the first time since Mara's death, he did not feel alone. And far beneath the red soil of the quiet frontier world, something ancient and vast opened its unseen eyes and waited. Night settled over the settlement like a heavy blanket. The wind became colder, and the metal walls of Elias Boone's home made small sounds as they expanded and tightened with the changing temperature. Inside, the light strips on the ceiling glowed soft and steady. The baby slept in the cradle, finally quiet, his tiny chest rising and falling in a slow rhythm. Elias sat at the table, but he did not eat. A cold cup of water stood in front of him. His eyes kept moving to the window, where the sky was now dark and full of stars. Every few minutes he thought he saw something move up there, something that did not belong. Across from him, Tala sat with her pack beside her. She looked calm, as if she had all the time in the universe. Her hands rested on her knees. She watched the room like a person who noticed everything, even the smallest changes. Elias broke the silence first. "You said your people heard my baby," he said, keeping his voice low. "How does anyone hear a baby from that far?" Tala looked toward the cradle, then back to Elias. "It is not the sound," she said. "It is the pattern." Elias frowned. "Pattern?" Tala nodded. "Every living human has a kind of signal, the heart, the breath, the warmth. It makes a rhythm. Our machines can listen for that rhythm. Not just close by, very far." Elias let out a short breath and leaned back in his chair. It sounded impossible, but she had been real. The milk had been real, and the lights in the sky were real too. He rubbed his forehead. "Why do you do it?" Tala did not answer at once. She seemed to choose her words carefully. "Long ago, many humans left Earth," she said. "Some left by choice, some were forced. Some ran from war, some ran from hunger, some ran from fear. My people were among them." Elias had heard pieces of that history in old-school files and settlement talk. Earth was a name people used like a distant prayer. Most settlers had never seen it, but everyone knew it was where the story began. "You called yourselves Sky Nations," Elias said. We are many families, Tala replied. Many tribes, many languages, but we made one promise. Wherever humans go, we will not forget them. We will not let them disappear. Elias stared at her. Disappear? Tala's gaze sharpened. There are things in the galaxy that hunt weakness, she said. Some are not evil, they just take. They see a small group of humans on a quiet world and they think easy. No one will notice, no one will come. Elias felt anger rise in his chest. People came here, he said. They built homes, they had children, they didn't deserve to be easy. Tala's expression softened. No, she said, they did not. The baby made a small sound in his sleep. Elias' eyes flicked to the cradle without thinking. Tala noticed that. You love him very much, she said. Elias swallowed. He's all I have left. Tala's voice became quieter. He is more than that, she said. That is why I came. Elias sat forward again. Tell me the truth, he said. You said this land is important. You said something under it is waking. What is it? Tala reached into her pack and pulled out a thin device, like a small tablet. Its screen lit up with symbols and maps that looked too smooth and too clear to be old settler tech. She placed it on the table and tapped once. A simple image appeared, showing a wide area of the settlement and the plains around it. Then the image changed. Layers appeared, like the ground was being peeled back in the picture. Below the soil and rock, deep down, a shape showed itself. It was large, clean-edged, and not natural. Elias felt his mouth go dry. That's, he started. A structure, Tala finished. A relic built before humans came to this system. Elias leaned closer. The shape was like a long oval with branching lines, like the roots of a tree made of metal. It looked asleep, but not dead. It looked like it was waiting. How do you know it's there? Elias asked. Tala tapped again. Another image appeared, showing a wave pattern like a heartbeat. It sends out small signals, Tala said. Very weak. Most humans cannot detect it, but my people can, and others can too. Others, Elias repeated, remembering the ships he had seen. Tala's eyes went to the window. Yes. Elias pushed back from the table and stood. He walked to the window and stared at the stars. The settlement outside was dark, empty buildings standing like skeletons. The old landing pad was cracked, weeds growing through it. He had lived here thinking the universe had forgotten him. Now it felt like the universe had been watching. What does it do? He asked, still looking out. Tala came to stand beside him, but she kept a respectful distance. We do not know everything, she said. But we know it is a kind of lock, a gate, a weapon, or a warning, maybe all of those. Elias turned to her sharply. A weapon? Tala did not flinch. Long ago this system was a battlefield, she said. Not between humans, between others. The relic was part of that time. Elias' voice was tight. So I built my home on top of a battlefield grave. You did not know, Tala said gently. Most do not. Elias looked toward the cradle again. And my son is part of it. Tala nodded once. The relic responds to certain human markers, she said. Not all humans, a specific line, a specific pattern in blood and bone, a key. Elias' stomach twisted. Mara, he whispered. Tala's eyes showed quiet understanding. Your wife carried it, she said, and now your son carries it. Elias stepped away from the window as if the air had changed. He paced across the room, trying to keep his breathing steady. That makes no sense, he said. We're just settlers, we're nobodies. Tala watched him. In the galaxy, she said, nobody is truly nobody. Not when life is rare, not when courage is rarer. Elias stopped pacing. He looked at her. How do you know Mara carried it? Tala's fingers moved over the device again. A new screen opened, showing a symbol and then a list of names in old data. The names looked like the kind settlers used, mixed from many places on Earth. There are records, Tala said. Old colony records, lost fleets, displaced people. Your wife's family line was part of a group that vanished long ago. Most humans forgot them, my people did not. Elias stared at the screen. He saw a name that matched Mara's maiden name. His heart hit hard against his ribs. He sat down slowly, as if his legs suddenly could not hold him. Mara never told me, he said. Tala's voice stayed calm. She may not have known, she said. Or she may have wanted a normal life, a quiet home, a child who could grow without being hunted. Elias looked at the cradle, and pain filled his chest. Mara's smile came into his mind, the way she had laughed when she planted the first row of crops, the way she had held her stomach when she first felt the baby kick. He swallowed. So what happens now? Tala put the device away and sat again, facing him. Now, she said, we make sure your child lives. Elias' eyes narrowed. That sounds like a warning. It is a promise, Tala replied, but yes, there is danger. Elias clenched his hands. What kind of danger? Tala's expression became serious in a way that made Elias listen even more closely. A group is coming, she said. Not your settlers, not my people, another force. They travel system to system looking for relics like this. Elias felt cold. Aliens. Yes, Tala said. But not like the ones who attacked during the war here. Different, more patient, more careful. Elias forced himself to speak steadily. How long do we have? Tala looked toward the ceiling as if she could see the sky through it. Hours, she said, maybe less. Elias stood again, sudden energy pushing through him. Fear was there, but underneath it was something older, the part of him that had survived the war, the part that had buried Mara and still woke up every morning. He walked to a storage cabinet and opened it. Inside were old weapons, tools, and pieces of armor from his time as an orbital ranger. He had kept them because he did not know how to throw them away. Now they did not feel like memories. They felt like a reason. Tala watched him without speaking. Elias pulled out a compact rifle, checked it, and set it on the table. He pulled out two small drones, their wings folded tight. He placed them beside the rifle. He grabbed a worn jacket with protective plates inside and laid it across a chair. He turned to Tala. If they're coming, then we fight. Tala's eyes held his steady and clear. Yes, she said, but not alone. Elias laughed once, but it was dry. How many of your people are close? Tala stood and walked to the door. She opened it and stepped outside. Elias followed her. The settlement lay under starlight. The plains looked like dark waves frozen in time. In the distance, faint points of light moved along the horizon. They were not like normal ships. They moved without loud engines. They glided like birds. Then Elias saw shapes land beyond the old landing pad. Silent, smooth. He felt the hair on his arms rise. Figures appeared, walking toward them, not rushed, not scared, like they knew exactly where they were going. As the figures came closer, Elias saw they were human. But their gear was unlike anything he had seen. Their clothes carried patterns like the ones on Tala's outfit, but each pattern was different. Some had long coats. Some had light armor that shimmered under the stars. Some carried weapons that looked both old and new at the same time, like a spear made of light or a bow that launched energy. A man stepped forward. He was tall, with hair tied back, and his face looked weathered like someone who had lived under many suns. Tala, he said. Tala nodded. Chasing wind, she replied. The man's eyes moved to Elias. He studied him without disrespect, the way a warrior studies another warrior. This is Elias Boone, Tala said. He is the child's father. Chasing Wind stepped closer and offered his hand. Elias hesitated, then shook it. The grip was firm. You protected your home alone for a long time, Chasing Wind said. That is not small. Elias' throat tightened. He did not know how these strangers could speak as if they knew him. I didn't have a choice, he said. You did, the man replied. Many leave, you stayed, that is choice. More Sky Nation's warriors arrived, spreading quietly through the settlement. Some climbed onto rooftops. Some checked corners and open streets. They moved like people trained for danger, but they were not loud about it. Elias looked around. For the first time in months, the dead settlement looked alive. He turned back to Tala. So you really came because of him? Tala placed a hand lightly on the doorframe. Yes, she said. Elias looked up at the sky again. The stars seemed too bright tonight, as if the universe was holding its breath. Far above, that faint moving light he had seen earlier grew stronger. It was not a Sky Nation's ship. It was something else. Tala's voice turned sharp. They are close, she said. Elias felt his heart beat faster. He glanced toward the house, toward the sleeping baby. Chasing Wind stepped beside him. We will guard the child, he said, but you must understand something. Elias swallowed. What? Chasing Wind lifted his chin toward the plains. This is not only about survival, he said. This is about what humans become when the universe tests them. Elias stared at him. And what do humans become? The man's eyes reflected starlight. We become the line that does not break, he said. A low vibration rolled through the ground. It was faint, but Elias felt it in his boots like the world itself had made a quiet sound. Elias' eyes widened. That was the relic, Tala said. It is waking faster now. Elias' mouth went dry again. Because they're here, Tala nodded. Yes. In the sky, the moving light split into many points. A formation, a fleet. Elias stared upward and fear threatened to swallow him. But then he looked around at the Sky Nation's warriors, humans from a forgotten branch of Earth, standing ready in the darkness. He looked at the settlement he had kept alive with his own hands. He thought of Mara and the life she had wanted. He thought of his child sleeping inside, unaware of the storm coming. Elias Boone took a deep breath. He did not feel like a nobody anymore. He felt like a father. The morning sun rose slowly over the red plains, painting everything in shades of fire and copper. Elias Boone stood at the edge of his small settlement, his boots sinking slightly into the dust. The wind was sharper now, carrying a faint metallic scent that made him tighten the collar of his jacket. Last night had changed everything. The Sky Nations had arrived, bringing life to his silent world. He still could not believe it. He had been alone for so long that seeing other humans moving quietly through the settlement felt almost unreal. They were not loud. They did not make unnecessary sounds. They moved like shadows, fast and precise. Chasing Wind, the tall man who had introduced himself last night, walked beside him. His face was calm, but his eyes scanned the plains like a hawk. "They will not wait long," Chasing Wind said. "They know where the relic is. They can feel it even from a distance." Elias swallowed. "And if they get it?" Chasing Wind shook his head. "Then we lose more than a settlement. We lose a part of ourselves. The relic is not just metal. It carries memory, power, life that others do not understand. If it falls into the wrong hands, your son, all humans could be in danger." Elias' heart tightened. He thought of the small cradle where his child slept, completely unaware of the world outside. He thought of Mara and the life they had dreamed of giving their child. And he thought of himself, a man who had survived battles in orbit but had never faced anything like this. "Then we fight," Elias said. His voice was firm now. He felt a strange warmth inside him, like fire in his chest. "We fight and we protect." Tala walked a few steps ahead, pointing toward the horizon. "We cannot wait for them to arrive here. They will come from the ridge. If we do not take the high ground, they will surround us." Elias followed her gaze. The dry river ridge ran along the northern edge of the settlement. Its cliffs were not high by normal standards, but in this flat, endless land, it was the perfect vantage point. He nodded. "Then that's where we go." The Sky Nations moved with efficiency. Elias watched as drones took to the sky, scanning the distance. Some of the warriors carried strange weapons, glowing faintly, humming softly like living things. Elias handled his old rifle, feeling its weight and its history. It was crude compared to what the Sky Nations had, but it was his, and it had kept him alive before. As they approached the ridge, Elias felt the first tremors beneath his boots. A faint vibration, rhythmic and slow, like the heartbeat of the land itself. Tala noticed it too. "The relic," she said. "It is stirring faster now. It knows." Elias frowned. "Knows what?" "That humans are here," she replied. "It senses the threat approaching." The wind shifted suddenly. Dust swirled in thin streams, creating ghostly patterns across the plains. Elias could see faint glimmers in the distance, small ships moving in formation. They were sleek, silent, and unlike any human design he had ever seen. "They're close," Tala said. "Very close." Elias felt a cold chill, but he kept walking. His determination had solidified into something sharper. He was not going to run. He would protect his son. He would protect this home. When they reached the ridge, Chasing Wind pointed toward several natural depressions in the rocky ground. "We use these," he said. "They give cover. You, Boone, take the center. The others spread along the line." Elias moved into position, crouching low and scanning the horizon. He could see the enemy fleet now, small craft glinting like shards of dark glass against the red dust. They were not attacking yet, only moving into range. Tala crouched beside him. She tapped the side of a small device attached to her wrist. A soft holographic map appeared, showing the positions of their allies and the approaching enemy. "They will not hesitate," she said. "We must strike first." Elias' hands tightened around the rifle. He had been alone in this world for months. Every decision had been for survival. Now, for the first time, he felt the weight of responsibility not just for himself, but for everyone around him, and most importantly, for his child. A low hum grew in the air, almost imperceptible at first. Then it became louder. The relic, deep beneath the ground, responded. Dust and stones vibrated around the ridge. Elias glanced at Tala. "It is reacting," she said. "It knows the enemy is here." Suddenly, the enemy ships accelerated. They moved faster now, spreading out in a formation that surrounded the ridge. Small explosions flared in the distance as their weapons began testing the perimeter. The Sky Nations responded immediately. Drones took to the sky, darting between the enemy ships. Energy weapons fired in silent arcs, striking the enemy craft and forcing them back. Warriors moved with precision, laying traps and setting up defensive positions along the cliffside. Elias fired his rifle, taking careful aim at a ship moving too close. The bullet struck a panel, causing sparks but not enough damage to stop it. He realized quickly that he could not match the technology of these ships with his crude weapon. But he did not falter. Every shot he fired bought a fraction of time, and every fraction counted. Chasing wind signaled to him, pointing to a small ledge above their position. Use the elevation. We can amplify our energy pulses from there. Elias moved quickly, climbing to the ledge. His heart pounded. Below him, the Sky Nations engaged the enemy with precision. Energy beams cut across the sky, creating streaks of light that reflected on the red dust. Tala moved beside him on the ledge, her device glowing faintly. "We need you to hold them here," she said. "Keep them away from the settlement. Keep them away from your son." Elias nodded, gripping his rifle. He had never felt more alive. Fear and determination mingled inside him, sharp and hot. The first wave of enemy ships came closer. They fired in coordinated patterns, but the Sky Nations had prepared well. Drones intercepted energy bolts, redirecting them harmlessly into the dust. Elias fired again, aiming carefully, managing to hit the control panel of one ship. Sparks flew, and it veered off course, crashing into the plains. More ships came, faster this time. Elias realized that brute force alone would not win this fight. He needed strategy. He remembered the old irrigation channels running through the settlement, small depressions in the ground that could be used as traps. He called out to Chasing Wind, who nodded immediately. A few warriors followed Elias back down to the channels, placing explosives and devices. The next wave of enemy ships flew directly over the channels. Elias waited until they were above, then signaled. The explosives detonated. Dust and stone flew high into the air, temporarily blinding the pilots of the enemy ships. Several crashed, others broke formation and fled. The Sky Nations cheered quietly. Their moves were precise, their energy pulses coordinated. Elias felt a surge of pride. He had never thought of himself as a hero, but here he was, holding his ground, protecting life that mattered more than his own. Tala moved next to him again. "The relic is reacting more strongly," she said. "We need to be careful. It will do things we do not understand if we push it too far." Elias looked down at the plains. The ground near the relic shifted slightly, small cracks appearing. A faint glow pulsed beneath the surface. The enemy ships did not notice it yet, distracted by the fighting above. "We buy them time," Elias said. "Then the relic can finish its part." Chasing Wind nodded. "Yes, but keep your eyes open. They are clever. They will try to draw us out." Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, the wind shifted, and the dust never stopped swirling. Every so often, Elias would glance toward the settlement, thinking of the cradle, thinking of his son. Every time he saw it, a renewed determination filled him. He would not let anyone take that child. The enemy seemed to anticipate their moves. New ships appeared from unexpected directions. But Elias, Tala, and the Sky Nations adapted quickly. They used the terrain, the drones, and every advantage they had. At one point, an enemy ship dove toward Elias' position. He fired at it with his rifle, then jumped to the side as an energy pulse struck the ledge where he had been. Sparks and dust flew. He rolled and stood quickly, feeling the sharp edge of fear and adrenaline. "You okay?" Tala asked. "Yes," Elias said, though his hands shook slightly. "It's just fast." "They are fast," she said, "but we are smarter." The relic pulsed stronger now. Elias felt it through the ground, a vibration in his boots, a hum in his chest. It seemed alive, aware, waiting for the right moment. Then something unexpected happened. One of the enemy ships moved directly over the relic's location. The ground beneath it glowed, brighter this time. A wave of energy shot upward, striking the ship. It spun uncontrollably and crashed into the dust. The remaining enemy ships paused, uncertain. Elias realized the relic was not just a weapon. It was a guardian protecting life that belonged to it. Tala's eyes shone. "It recognizes your child," she said. "It knows the key. And it knows who is a threat." Elias took a deep breath, feeling a mix of fear, awe, and hope. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. His small life, his grief, his loss, it all mattered now. Not just for him, but for the survival of something much larger than any human, something tied to his son. The enemy ships regrouped, preparing for another wave. Elias adjusted his rifle and moved to a better position. He looked at Tala and Chasing Wind. "Let's finish this," he said. "For him, for all of us." The Sky Nation's warriors prepared beside him, their devices glowing, their energy weapons humming softly. Drones circled above. And the relic beneath the ground pulsed once more, stronger than ever, as if it was ready to awaken fully. The battle for Dry River Ridge was far from over, but Elias Boone felt something he had not felt in a long time: hope. The battle had raged across the Red Plains all morning, yet the sun showed no mercy, climbing higher in the sky and reflecting off the dust like molten metal. Elias Boone crouched on the ridge, gripping his rifle tighter than ever, his knuckles white. Every shot he fired, every order he gave was for one reason: to protect his son, sleeping safely in the small metal house below. The Sky Nations were extraordinary. Their weapons moved like extensions of their bodies, precise, fast, and unrelenting. Energy arcs leaped from one warrior to another, striking enemy ships with quiet efficiency. Drones zipped through the sky, intercepting enemy fire, guiding bolts, and forcing the alien craft to retreat or crash. Elias felt his breath come in ragged pulls. He had fought humans before, he had survived battles in orbit, but nothing prepared him for this. The alien ships were clever, almost aware, adjusting their attacks to counter every move the Sky Nations made. Still, the warriors held their ground, forming a defensive line across the ridge. Tala crouched beside him, her device glowing faintly in the sunlight. She tapped it repeatedly, sending signals to the drones and Sky Nation's troops. "The relic is reacting faster," she said. "It senses your son, it knows what it must do." Elias' eyes went wide. "What do you mean, what it must do?" "It protects," she said simply. "But it can also strike. If we do not act carefully, it could hurt the wrong people." Elias swallowed hard. He looked toward the plains, where the enemy ships moved like dark shadows, circling and probing. One ship swooped down low, firing a streak of green light that exploded near the ledge. Dust and stones flew into the air. Elias jumped, barely avoiding the blast. He fired his rifle, aiming at the craft's underbelly. Sparks flew when his bullet hit, and the ship wavered. Another Sky Nation's warrior shot a thin beam, striking it again. The ship spun out of control and slammed into the ground with a quiet crash that sent a plume of dust skyward. "That's one," Elias said, breathing heavily. "How many more?" Tala's eyes never left her device. "They are many," she said, "but the relic gives us an advantage." Elias didn't fully understand. He only knew that deep beneath the soil, something enormous stirred. A vibration traveled up through the ground, shaking the ridge subtly. The wind carried it as a faint hum, almost musical in its rhythm. Suddenly, the enemy shifted strategy. Small squads of alien soldiers descended to the plains below, moving on the ground. Elias' heart skipped a beat. If they reached the settlement, his son could be in danger. He fired at the approaching figures, but he realized quickly that bullets were only a delay. They were too fast, armored with strange materials that glinted under the sun. Tala pressed a button on her device, and a thin wave of energy shot across the plains. The ground shimmered for a moment, and the alien soldiers were thrown off balance, stumbling as the vibration surged beneath them. Elias felt the pulse in his boots, stronger than before. The relic was waking fully. Chasing Wind appeared beside him, moving with the same precision he had shown since arriving. "We need to push them toward the relic," he said. "Let it do its part." Elias nodded, understanding. They had created a trap. The alien soldiers did not know it yet, but the very ground beneath them was about to fight back. The aliens regrouped quickly, firing back at the Sky Nations. Energy arcs cut through the red dust, striking rocks and sending shards into the air. Elias ducked instinctively, feeling heat brush past his face. His rifle roared again and again, bullets sparking off the enemy armor, slowing their advance. Below, the settlement remained quiet. The house where his son slept stood firm, small and metal against the vast plains. Elias' eyes flicked to it constantly. He thought of Mara and the life they had built. He thought of his son and the future he wanted him to have. A sudden tremor ran through the ridge, stronger this time. Elias staggered slightly, gripping the ledge for balance. Tala's eyes widened. "It is ready," she whispered. The relic pulsed beneath them, and the energy wave it emitted spread across the plains. The alien ground troops were lifted slightly, their legs moving against the invisible force, unable to stay steady. Ships hovering close to the ground were thrown back slightly, engines flaring as they fought the pulse. Elias realized, with a mixture of awe and fear, that the relic was alive in its own way. It reacted to his son's presence. It was not just a weapon, it was a guardian. Chasing Wind signaled to him. Now, push forward, guide them into the relic. Elias did not hesitate. He ran down the ridge with Tala at his side, using the terrain for cover. Energy blasts streaked past him, but he dodged and fired, aiming at the alien squads that had broken formation. His rifle might not have been powerful enough to destroy them outright, but it distracted and slowed them just enough. The relic pulsed again, stronger. Stones lifted from the plains and rotated slightly, shimmering in the strange energy that emanated from the ground. Dust and air moved in spirals around the relic, forming a faint protective barrier over the settlement. Elias' heart raced. This was no ordinary battle. The universe itself seemed to respond, bending space and energy to protect life here. The aliens realized something was wrong. Their formations wavered. Their ships shook as if fighting against a force they could not see. They tried to retreat, but the relic's energy blocked easy escape routes, funneling them toward the center of the plains. Tala moved beside Elias, guiding him through the dust and debris. "Keep them contained," she shouted over the wind. Elias felt a strange exhilaration. Fear was still there, sharp and cold, but it had become fuel. Every movement, every shot, every step brought him closer to protecting his son. Then, one of the alien ships managed to break partially free and swoop toward the settlement. Elias saw it coming, straight for the house. His stomach dropped. "No!" he shouted. He ran, firing at the ship's underbelly. Sparks flew as his bullets struck, and the ship wavered. Another Sky Nation's warrior joined him, firing a coordinated energy pulse. The ship spun, then crashed into the plains, exploding in a cloud of red dust. Elias fell to his knees, breathing hard. Tala placed a hand on his shoulder. "It is almost over," she said. Chasing Wind moved beside him, scanning the horizon. "They will not underestimate us again," he said. "But the relic has done what it needed to do. We just have to hold them for a little longer." The enemy ship still hovered at the edge of the plains, hesitant. They were cautious now, aware that the relic was more than a simple weapon. Elias watched them, feeling a strange pride. The battle had not been easy. Many ships had fallen. Many soldiers had been caught by the relic's pulses, but the settlement remained intact. His son remained safe. The relic pulsed once more, sending a wave across the plains that lifted dust and small stones into the air. The vibrations reached Elias in his boots, in his chest, in his very bones. He felt connected to it in a way he could not explain. Tala looked at him. "It has bonded with your son," she said. "It will protect him even when we cannot." Elias' eyes went to the cradle. The thought of his child, completely unaware of the battle raging above him, brought tears to his eyes. He felt awe and relief, gratitude and fear all at once. Chasing Wind spoke again. "They will regroup, but they will not come close again for a long time. The relic does not forget." Elias stood slowly, brushing dust from his coat. "Then we rebuild," he said. His voice was calm but determined. "We make this place stronger, safer, for my son, for all of us." Tala nodded. "And the Sky Nations will help," she said. "We will remain nearby until it is safe, until your son can grow without fear." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. He had been alone for so long, burdened with grief and fear. But now he understood something powerful. Life was worth fighting for. Love was worth risking everything. And humanity, even in the far reaches of the galaxy, could rise when it mattered most. The sun reached its peak, shining down on the ridge and the settlement below. Dust swirled in golden light. The enemy ships had withdrawn, hesitant to confront the relic again. The Sky Nations moved across the ridge, ensuring that every point was secure. Elias looked around at the warriors, at Tala, at Chasing Wind, at the vast, open plains. He felt something he had not felt since Mara had died. Hope, real hope. He knew the battle was not completely over. Other dangers would come, and the universe was vast and unpredictable. But for now, his home was safe. His son slept peacefully, and humanity had proven that it could survive, adapt, and protect what mattered most. The relic pulsed one last time, gently this time, like a slow heartbeat beneath the surface. Elias knelt and pressed his hand against the ledge. The hum traveled up his arm, a connection he could not explain, a bond that promised protection and strength. He looked at Tala. "Thank you," he said quietly. She nodded. "The future is not only yours," she said. "It is all of ours. Humanity endures. That is why we fight." Elias turned toward the settlement where the small house stood like a beacon of hope. He thought of Mara, of his son, and of the life they would build here together with the Sky Nations. For the first time in months, maybe years, he felt the truth of it. Humanity was strong, clever, and unbroken, and whatever the universe threw at them next, he would be ready. Above the red plains, the sun shone brightly, dust spiraled in quiet patterns, and the relic beneath the ground pulsed softly, as if approving, as if waiting for the next challenge, knowing that humans were not just survivors. They were guardians of their own destiny. The days. After the battle passed quickly, though Elias Boone barely noticed the sun rising and falling. He moved through the settlement with a new purpose, repairing walls, clearing debris, and preparing defenses, even though the enemy ships had fled. His hands were raw, scratched, and calloused from work, but they felt alive in a way they hadn't in months. The Sky Nations remained with him, their presence quiet but reassuring. Tala and Chasing Wind coordinated patrols and scouting drones, keeping watch over the plains and the ridge. Elias watched them sometimes, amazed at their calm efficiency. They moved as if the universe had trained them, yet their eyes held kindness, respect, and something else, faith in humanity's strength. His son slept in the small metal house, unaware of everything that had happened. Elias often paused to watch him, his chest swelling with a mixture of love and determination. This child, the last connection to Mara, was now the key to something far larger than he had ever imagined. Tala approached him one evening as he worked on reinforcing the perimeter. Her face was calm, but her eyes held a spark of urgency. "The relic is stable now," she said. "It will remain protective, but it needs guidance. You are part of that guidance. Your son will be the key to its purpose." Elias wiped sweat from his brow and looked at her. "The key." "I don't understand. He's just a baby." Tala smiled softly. "Just a baby, yes, but he carries the pattern, the same pattern that awakened the relic. He is human, and that is what matters. The relic responds to life, to courage, to protection. And that is why it chose to bond with him." Elias swallowed, feeling both pride and fear. He had survived battles, storms, and loneliness, but nothing prepared him for this. The weight of responsibility was heavy, yet he felt stronger because of it. Chasing Wind appeared beside him, carrying supplies. "The settlement will need more than repairs," he said. "We need to train people, not just here but in other systems too. The relic has awakened interest. Others will come to challenge it. Humans must be ready." Elias nodded. "I will help," he said. "I will train them, protect them." The days became a routine. Elias worked alongside the Sky Nations, learning their techniques and strategies. He discovered that even his old skills as an orbital ranger were valuable. He could predict movement, sense danger, and guide others in ways that technology alone could not. At night, he often sat near the cradle, watching his son sleep. The small child stirred sometimes, making soft noises, and Elias felt a surge of warmth in his chest. He remembered Mara and the life they had dreamed of together. Now he realized that life had taken a new form, one that stretched across the stars and through the legacy of humanity itself. One evening, as the twin moons of the planet rose into the sky, Tala approached Elias with a serious expression. "Something is coming," she said. Elias' heart skipped a beat. "Again?" "Yes," Tala replied, "but it is not the same as before. It is curious, observing." He frowned. "Observing," she nodded. "The relic has drawn attention, not hostile yet, but intelligent. They will study it, study your son, and study us." Elias felt a chill. He looked toward the plains, where shadows stretched long under the moons. "We will be ready," he said. Tala's eyes softened. "Yes, we will be ready, but there is more. The child must learn, slowly. The relic will guide him, but he must grow with understanding, with courage, and with humanity." Elias nodded again, his hands tightening over the railing of the small deck outside the house. He thought of the battles, the fear, and the victories. He thought of Mara and the quiet life they had wanted. He thought of the Sky Nations and their silent promise. Humanity would endure. Weeks passed, and the settlement transformed. New buildings arose, made with both human ingenuity and Sky Nations design. Drones patrolled the skies, and small training grounds were built where children could run safely while learning the skills they would one day need. Elias worked tirelessly, often forgetting to eat or sleep. His body ached, but he felt alive in a way he had not in years. The settlers who remained were inspired by his determination, and together with the Sky Nations, they rebuilt the community. One day, while inspecting the plains, Elias noticed a faint shimmer in the air, far off near the horizon. A small figure approached, moving quickly across the dust. It was human, alone but not threatening. Tala appeared beside him. "Another lost settler," she said. "He will join us. The relic's influence reaches far. Humans who are alone feel it. It draws them." Elias watched as the man arrived. He was young, with worn clothes and tired eyes, but he stood tall, curiosity and hope in his gaze. Elias felt a strange connection, another life saved, another piece of humanity reclaimed. That evening, as the sun set, Elias sat near the cradle. His son had grown slightly, beginning to sit up and reach for the world around him. The relic pulsed softly beneath the ground, a quiet hum that vibrated through the soil, the walls, and the very air. Tala knelt beside Elias. "The child is learning," she said. "Not yet with words, not yet with understanding, but the relic teaches in its own way. He will grow strong, and he will grow human in every sense." Elias nodded, feeling a sense of peace he had not known since Mara's death. The past grief, the battles, and the loneliness now seemed part of a larger story, one in which humanity mattered, where courage, love, and perseverance shaped the universe itself. Chasing Wind joined them, looking toward the horizon where the dust settled. "Other systems will notice soon," he said. "Some will come to challenge us, some will come seeking guidance, but the line of humans here will stand. That is why we are here, that is why we endure." Elias smiled faintly. "Then we are ready." Weeks turned into months. The settlement became a sanctuary. Travelers came from distant systems, drawn by tales of the humans who survived against odds no one could believe. They came for guidance, for protection, and to learn from those who understood the universe's dangers. Elias trained them, teaching both practical skills and the courage to face impossible odds. He watched as the Sky Nations taught strategies, communication, and the importance of unity. Slowly, the settlement grew into a hub of human strength, a place where hope and resilience thrived. His son grew as well. Every day brought new discoveries, new movements, and small signs of understanding. Elias spent hours near him, teaching with gentle words, guiding with patience, and watching the relic respond to every touch, every laugh, every heartbeat. One evening, the twin moons hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the settlement. Elias sat outside, his son in his lap. Tala approached, carrying a small device that projected a holographic map of the systems nearby. "Curious forces are moving," she said. "They watch, but they do not act yet. They are learning. They will remember this place." Elias nodded. "And if they return?" Tala's expression was calm, but her voice carried strength. "We will be ready. Humans will endure. Your child will grow strong, and the relic will protect us." He looked down at his son, who reached up and grabbed his finger. Elias felt a warmth spread through him, a quiet pride and love that anchored him in the vast universe. The relic pulsed beneath the settlement, steady and strong. It had become part of their lives, a guardian that ensured safety and reminded them of their connection to life, to courage, and to humanity. Elias thought of Mara and the dreams they had shared. He realized that those dreams had not died with her. They had transformed. They now lived in the child's laughter, in the unity of the settlement, in the strength of humans standing together against the galaxy's dangers. At the edge of the plains, distant lights flickered as ships moved silently. They were not threats yet, but observers. Elias understood that the universe was vast, and challenges would come again. But he also understood that humanity's spirit was stronger than fear, stronger than loss, and stronger than any enemy that might try to divide it. He stood, his son in his arms, and looked toward the horizon. The Sky Nation's warriors spread out across the ridge, vigilant but calm. Tala stood near him, her eyes reflecting both pride and quiet hope. Chasing Wind moved through the settlement, guiding the new arrivals, showing them how to survive, how to protect, and how to thrive. Elias felt the ground beneath his feet hum softly, the relic acknowledging their presence, ready for whatever came next. He breathed in the dry, metallic air of the planet and felt the weight of history, of survival, and of legacy pressing on his shoulders, but it did not crush him. It strengthened him. He whispered to his son, who giggled softly in response, reaching for the stars. "We will endure, little one. Together we will endure." The twin moons cast their light over the settlement, the plains, and the distant horizon. Ships glimmered far away, watching, learning, but hesitant. The relic pulsed quietly beneath the ground, alive and protective. The child stirred again, his small heartbeat echoing the hum of the ancient guardian beneath him. Elias Boone, widowed cowboy, father, and protector, smiled. Humanity had faced the void, faced death, and faced the unknown, and it had triumphed. Not through fear, not through technology alone, but through courage, love, and unity. Above, the stars shone bright, endless, and alive. Below, humans worked, learned, and protected. And somewhere deep beneath the red plains, the relic pulsed in time with the heartbeat of a child, promising that the story of humanity was far from over. The future awaited, vast and unknown. But Elias knew one thing for certain: humanity would rise, humanity would endure. Humanity would teach the universe how to live. And as the night settled over the plains, with the twin moons shining and the stars stretching endlessly across the sky, Elias held his son close, feeling the pulse of life, courage, and hope echoing through him. The galaxy was large, the challenges were many, but humanity would never break. The child yawned, stretched his tiny arms, and Elias smiled. The story of life, of survival, of humanity's courage had only just begun.